I am not Morgan Freeman. What you see is not real.
In a world of AI, truth will be questioned more than ever before.
You don't want some big for-profit company deciding what's true. Do you want the government to decide what's true?
Shall we play a game?
Oh.
Chatbots have come a long way since 1983, when the movie War Games depicted the threat of nuclear war because of a rogue hacker and a military supercomputer. The film is a cautionary tale about the potential dangers of relying too heavily on technology and the need for human intervention and common sense.
How about global thermonuclear war?
Wouldn't you prefer a good game of chess?
But the film is no longer that far off from reality, and the stakes for civilization could be just as high.
Learn, goddammit.
Over the last 40 years, computers have been learning a lot, learning from our collective history.
Intelligence is error correction, and you have a staggering amount of information every day. And in that information, a lot of misinformation too, similar to the printing press, but at a totally different scale. And you have artificial intelligence and humans correcting that information, error correcting, and artificial intelligence is growing, getting more and more powerful all the time.
With more power in the hands of the average worker, AI promises to create a world of greater productivity at lower costs.
The entire trend line is going to have less and less labor along that way to the time where artificial general intelligence and computers are smarter than us. It would be hard to believe that there's going to be way more labor in the future, unless you believe in fairy tales too.
I think is a pivotal moment. ChatGPT has shown that these big language models can do amazing things, and the general public has suddenly caught on.
Geoffrey Hinton, called the godfather of artificial intelligence, has been developing machine learning technology for decades.
The only reason that neural networks weren't working really well in the 1980s was because the computers weren't fast enough and the data sets weren't big enough.
With the widespread use of the internet came very big and useful data sets, as lightning-speed online communication and information spread globally, and millions of computers were finally able to talk to each other and aggregate knowledge.
ChatGPT knows much more than any one person. If you had a competition about how much you know, it would just wipe out any one person.
Do amazing at bar trivia.
They're not so good at reasoning. We're better at reasoning. We have to extract our knowledge from much less data. So we've got 100 trillion connections, most of which we learn, but we only live for 1 billion seconds, which isn't very long.
But there is still something uniquely human that is missing in AI, according to Hinton.
ChatGPT is this kind of idiot savant, and it's also doesn't really understand about truth.
In a world of AI, truth will be questioned more than ever before.
I am not Morgan Freeman, and what you see is not real.
Clearly, we've come a long way from being able to take messages at face value.
Have I ever told you the story of the magical pistachio?
When more of what we consume in our daily social media intake is flagged as disinformation or misinformation, who determines what is true and what is not?
That's going to be a big issue, and we don't know how to deal with that. You don't want some big for-profit company deciding what's true. Do you want the government to decide what's true?
It comes down to training the data set. Our data sets are much more decentralized and more difficult to access than in China, where you have a government entity that literally just is clawing all the data into a consolidated database in order to train it however they deem necessary.
Ask ChatGPT what it's good at, and it will tell you, learning from a vast amount of data and constantly improving its knowledge and learning abilities. So the question is, who is curating the data set? And now that there are so many platforms for human communication in cyberspace, what can verify the information, let alone the true identity of the messenger? You might be surprised that Bitcoin will fit into this picture.
Now people are sending videos, creating deep fakes, and they're wondering, did this person actually send this to me? And so I know that you have some thoughts on how Bitcoin can actually help verify and prove identity and allow you to cryptographically sign for pieces of information so that the person receiving it on the other end knows that it can be trusted. Can you speak a little bit to that?
The promise of AI is that this digital intelligence can do incredibly intricate things as well as or better than actual human beings. But one of the challenges of it is that means that you can spin up a billion fake AI accounts on Twitter or YouTube or Facebook that are more interesting and more engaged than the actual human beings are that they replace. We can no longer rely upon free accounts that are not cryptographically secured or monetarily secured. So the solution that Bitcoin offers is the idea that someone can create an identity and they can post a security deposit, say $20 or 100,000 Satoshis. And then once you posted that deposit, you can cryptographically sign that credential and then use that credential as your verification.
But it goes deeper than spams and deepfakes. Because the Bitcoin network is so secure, it will have uses beyond ID verification and hard money, and it will be critical to individual, business, and national interests.
Bitcoin's the world's most secure computer network. So if I wanted to inscribe a document, let's say my last will and testament, I could inscribe that document and encrypt it and then place it on the Bitcoin network. I could digitally sign it with my private key. It would be distributed to hundreds of thousands of nodes around the world. I'm cryptographically burning it into the network. I'm guaranteed to be able to send that message anywhere in the world because Bitcoin is a nation-state resistant cyber network.
Bitcoin has the potential to safeguard truth itself. But don't take our word for it. Look at the blockchain and run the numbers. In other words, don't trust, verify.